So for those of you wondering where I've been in terms of the YouTube scene, I've been pretty much trying, outside of having a hard time making videos, I've been pretty much trying to streamline and improve my workflow so I can make more videos easier and better in that regard. And I am working on new intros for all three shows. Those you should see them later down the pipeline, but until then, cue the transition. Greetings, fellow adventurers! Fred here, and welcome to the Flying Game Master, the show that brings RPGs to as many tabletops as humanly possible. Now, we all have those character ideas that we're very attached to, be it ones that we just drum up in our heads just as a concept rather than any statted out sheet, or we see a cool build that on a YouTube channel like the Dungeon Dudes or something, and we're just enamored with the concept. But while I don't do much in the way of stats and builds for what inspire my characters, I do have a lot of character ideas that live rent-free up in this brain cavity. So I'm going to be sharing a few of them here today. I'm sorry I don't have any art or video clips associated with. Well, I might have a few, I don't know. Oh, well, we'll see. But these aren't strictly restricted to 5e. They're either 5e or Savage Worlds. So, with that being said, let's dive into it. Kicking things off in 5e, we have Dante Stormrider, who is a power metal themed bard. Now, I did get to play a brief bit of this character, and we might see him come back in the future, or an iteration of him. But Dante Stormrider was not his real name. It was a name given to him at one point in his life, and it just stuck. Basically, very few people know what his his birth name was. Dante was born in a fishing village along a northeastern coast, just below the line that separates temperate from the southern ends. But he grew up in a fishing village, and he loved music and song. But his village's livelihood with fishing didn't give him much in the way of opportunities for music and song. So he tried to create his own, much to the dismay of the fellow villagers and Dante's parents. And he basically tried as much as he can. And then one time when he was untangling some fishing nets, he heard the most wondrous sound coming along the coast. Dante looked up and saw basically this world's equivalent of a Viking longship sailing along the coast, and the people on board, they were having the most epic power metal party on board, and he was just so mesmerized by the music, the sound, the cheer, and just everything. That he just looked down at the nets that he was untangling and thought, what the hell am I doing with my life? And just threw down the nets and took off like a bat out of hell towards the coast. He dove into the he dove off the docks into the water, swam as hard as he could towards the ship. And when the people on board saw him swimming towards them, they just threw him a rope, hauled him aboard, or put some hefty furs over his shoulders to warm him up, handed him a flagon of mead, and basically taught him and introduced him to power frickin' metal. Oh, and the ship just sailed off into the sunset, and he never looked back and just rocked on to this day. Still on 5e for this little bit. We go from being inspired by power metal music to being inspired by a power metal band. And in this case, we are inspired by Angus McSix, the power metal act formed by former Gloryhammer lead singer Thomas Winkler. And the character he plays is a hero named Angus McSix. Continuing the story after Angus McFife sacrificed himself at the end of Thomas's last Gloryhammer album. And continuing the story and throwing a few diss tracks at Gloryhammer along the way. But that aside, he came right back, one better. And I like to think that this character, who is an Oath of Glory paladin, basically he bore witness to Angus McSix's heroics, possibly with him riding on his laser-shooting dinosaur, and he was just so enamored by the heroics of Angus McSix that he aspired to follow in Angus's footsteps and to become one better, acquiring his own sword of primal power, and becoming a hero in his own right. At the halfway point, moving on from the worlds of 5e to the worlds of Savage Worlds, we have two different entries in Savage Worlds here for this video, both of which were for different superhero campaigns that I was going to be a part of, but just never got off the ground. One, starting with the less serious, more silly and campy, we have a power metal themed superhero this time. I'm calling him Robert Bruce Hanneman. I know quite a lot of legends in that name. But how he gained his superpowers is he was at Wacken Open Air in Germany, and he was just at his campsite just playing his guitar, and a freak thunderstorm racked the metal festival. And lightning hit his amp, went through the cords into his guitar, and ended up frying him. When he came to, he was in the hospital with his guitar sitting next to him, and he realized he soon realized he could do some really crazy things with his guitar, or when he plays riffs. It's think in the vein of Brutal Legends guitar gameplay, where they shoot fireballs and shoot lightning, but it was more thunder based with how he played. And one of the influences I was pointed to in order to draw inspiration for this character was Val Halen from the Dexter's Laboratory cartoons, which I didn't watch a lot of growing up, but I was aware of its existence. And so, while I'm not too familiar with the character of Valhallen, I was pointed in his direction for inspiration for Robert Bruce Hanneman. And now, almost to the end, and we have my more semi-serious superhero character, which is basically called the Emerald Knight. Basically, the Emerald Knight is a character who I haven't thought up a cover name or his cover identity name, but he's pretty much the son of someone who studies fringe archaeology. You know, pyramids were power plants, and the Sphinx is far more ancient than it is led on to be. That sort of thing. And during one expedition in that he was brought along with, or more dragged along by his dad, where they discovered one of the Emerald Tablets. And this character just took a look at the Emerald Tablet and realized he could comprehend what was written on it, and that gave him these superpowers that basically turned him into like this magical night warrior. That basically looked a lot like I picture like Radnor Sarkon, but replace the red with green, and that's the gist of his attire. But he's basically this emerald green, powerful magical knight. That I figure his magic is basically he can like shoot emerald blasts of magic and channel that magic into his sword, which he swings at his enemies, causing a massive damage to them. And that's about as far as I got with the character, because because at the time I was turning my sights towards my more metal superhero themed. And last but certainly not least, we have one last character, and we're going to a completely different system this time. We're going to Vampire the Masquerade. Now, this character was originally designed for the Vampire LARP that I got my start in, but one thing led to another, and I could just as easily play him in a vampire tabletop game. But his name is Cal Mepre, and he's basically a Jedi vampire. It was a friend of mine who turned me on to this concept. Basically, his power set would be focused around thaumaturgy, movement of the mind, and using chimерistry to create a blade of light that would emanate from his lightsaber. As far as backstory is concerned, he's very much a lot of this character was influenced by at the time Galaxy's Edge was just opening, and I was just looking at these ideas, and just the character just came into my head, and I just told my friend this as we were going to a Savage World game, and he just looked at me and just rattled off the basic abilities that would be needed for such a character to work, and basically I had the whole costume sussed out, and I was going to be using my Savi's Workshop lightsaber as part of the character. But sadly, still have yet to get a chance to play him. But if I do, I'm probably going to be using a different lightsaber. More on that in the future. Overall, that is just a taste of some of the character ideas that I have living rent-free in my head. There may be at some point another video worth of character concepts I could share here, but that's for another day. But looking back at this script, I am surprised at I didn't realize how much heavy metal was an influence on a lot of these characters, but hey, it works, and I had a blast coming up with these character ideas. But let me know down below. Are you a victim of having a lot of character ideas living rent-free in your head? And if so, share some of them down below. I might do a video sharing viewer character concepts that live rent-free in their heads. But before we go, I want to turn things over to Noctis to handle some channel formalities. He's Noctis.
Thank you, Fred, and thank you all for coming by, if you are returning viewers. If you are new around here, still thank you, and be sure to like, subscribe, and ring the bell to keep up to date with everything we're doing here on the channel. You can also check out the channel's Linktree page, where you can find us on Twitch, check out our social media, and if you think we've earned it, consider supporting us on Patreon and Throne and so on. Now, back to you, Fred.
Thanks for that, Noctis, and thank you guys for watching, and I hope to see you on the trail of adventure.